up Baron. Idris is normally a lot of the hard carries like Kavalavar's on. For jungler, Samuel is picked a lot. Supremacy is going to go ahead and ban the Grace here, which makes a lot of sense. They tend to ban Grace and Blackfeather, so let's see if Supremacy will be banning that Blackfeather out. And SK picks up that Grumpjaw. Man, exciting here because I haven't seen Grumpjaw picked and played in a while.
So Bastion and Radha have both been subbed out for this game. We've got Little Godfather and Captain and Convoy in jungle. Convoy, we saw him play as a sub in the carry position before. Last season, Cyclone had a lot of success early and kept shuffling their rosters, and the success fell off. I feel like the roster shuffles are still very much a theme now that they're Supremacy.
Yeah, it's always kind of been a thing with this full lineup is they just constantly are changing out who's actually starting. Last season, they didn't have a single 2-week period where they used the same roster or same starting lineup 2 weeks in a row. That trend has thus far continued into the summer season. And it's something that you have to worry about because the synergy is a real question.
Yeah, the question is whether they can prepare with all 5 of these members so that when they sub in, they are still a strong team.
Yeah, it's surprising that they banned Baptiste here when he's a jungler and Grumpjaw with Lauer is extremely strong. They're going to hand over Grumpjaw Lauer composition over to SK, which is that's actually really dangerous to give such a strong jungler early game along with a strong healer in the early and mid game as well. So Supremacy here, you know, they need to decide like what is going to work against a Grumpjaw composition. Someone that's tanky and not too squishy. They have known to pick like Blackfeather, etc. And they're going to go with a Vox here. And they played Vox actually once out of the past 4 games. And they have known to do Baron, Gwen, and Blackfeather, etc. So Vox could work here with the barrier. But yeah, Grumpjaw is so strong. They're Lyra open here. And Adagio's open as well. So let's see what SK is going to end up with on the A side draft here.
Yeah, still a lot of things open for them and still a minute of bonus time. But that Grumpjaw is a really good start to the draft because you can... There's a lot of different directions you can go with that pick as your first pick.
Yeah, you can generally means you're going to be looking to win the early game. You're going to be looking to be aggressive in the jungle. Lyra's going to come through. Again, Adagio still could make that double heal along with the Grumpjaw, but with a Vox on the side, it can be a little bit difficult to run the double heal because of those mortal wounds that are able to be applied. They're going to go with the Samuel. So Lyra Samuel, one of these combos that we've seen for a long, long time. But now it's going to be a question of which one of them is going to be in the lane.
And importantly, Samuel is a hero we highlighted with Tyrus, right? This is one of the heroes he can really impact the game on.
I'm really excited too. This is Grumpjaw lane. I'm positive this is Grumpjaw lane, and that's really strong. He's going to get his items really quickly, get that Tensorable Monaco build, and just blow Vox up immediately, along with Samuel and Lyra supporting. So this is a very scary composition SK came up with here.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because that's like what we would expect. But SK Gaming is the one team that would change things up a bit. You know, they tried to run the Samuel weapon power in the lane before against a Vox. Hopefully, Kavalavar learned from that.
Maybe they're about to prove that that strategy can work. We'll have to see. Blackfeather will be the final lock-in for Supremacy, though. So, you know, a very standard composition from Supremacy as well. Don't want to take anything away from them. We've seen Blackfeather can be very successful as well. A lot of poke, a lot of sustain in those fights. So, now that we've got the compositions completely rounded out, how are we feeling about these two teams?
I mean, if they had CP Blackfeather with Lyra, I would say Supremacy. But because of that Arden pick, I'm going to have to give it over to SK because Lyra and Samuel is extremely strong in early game. We saw how well SK has played this competition, and Tyrus is on Samuel, so I'm going to give this to SK for sure.
Assuming Tyrus is on Samuel.
Assuming.
Yeah.
He better be.
There's a question mark there because it's
Fingers
SK.
crossed. Fingers crossed.
Either way, it doesn't matter. Lyra Samuel or Lyra Grumpjaw, both are extremely strong in the early game. If they pull the laner down to rotate with them, like they should be able to absolutely run over this jungle.
All right, we'll see if they can get that crazy early game start like we mentioned. Definitely some interesting focus on Arden in these drafts, and it's something that's not really been paying off for teams so far today. We'll see whether that's going to change coming forward for Supremacy. Definitely a lot up in the air and a lot of big questions for Supremacy coming into this one. Now, I want to ask just a little bit more about these drafts. Like, what is going to be the win condition for Supremacy specifically? Like, when you're going into this game against the Grumpjaw and against the Samuel, how do you go about winning the game? What's your first port of call?
Yeah, I think for them is they have to play safe, try to rotate and deny the jungle invades, or counter rotate and not lose too much of their jungle. Blackfeather needs to scale to level 8 with that Shadowglass build. Once Arden gets level 6, use the Gauntlet to make a play, hopefully get an ace, and then just push it from there so that they push their mid-game power spike and not lose the early game.
Okay, so very much playing around power spikes. Well, with that said, it is time to head on into this game. So make sure to get involved on social media using that hashtag Vainglory8 and let us know who your team that you're supporting is going to be. But with that, it's time to head on to the Halcyon Fold.
Alrighty, time for our second series of the day. It's going to be SK versus Supremacy. I'm excited to kick this one off. Jaws, you ready for this?
I am super ready. Mike was muted, but we're good. SK versus Supremacy, game number 1. My goodness, SK's lineup right now. That looks super scary, especially in early. Lyra's and Raph on Lyra and Grumpjaw. Oh my goodness.
The question, though, is Kvalifar's Samuel going to make it happen today? Because, as you heard the analyst saying, when we saw him play this in the lane before, it did not really go as I'm sure he would have hoped it to, as weapon power. That being said, he has a Crystal Bit now, so maybe he's going Crystal here. He could honestly go either direction. I think Crystal is more likely, when you can see here that Tyrus has picked up 2 Weapon Blades and is probably going to be going for the weapon power path. Kvalifar can do a lot of work in the early game here with the Weapon Blade on top of that Crystal Bit, though. Can try and find a lot of early game trades against Waldemar.
Exactly what he's doing so far. Chunked him out a little bit, but a lot of damage from those resonance bounces, just ever so slightly chipping away. Ready? Tyrus and Raph down in this bottom side. Did you have control over that Elder Treant? So Tyrus is going to be able to take away that for free. And young superstar in the SK jungle. He's just at the Unified Championship specifically proved, you know, EU very, very tough competition for NA, and just been such a standout performer. And on this Grumpjaw, I mean, that is looking very, very scary. But if you look on the other side, we've got this Blackfeather as well. And Sweet J put it perfectly. How do Supremacy win? They look for a gauntlet and then hopefully get an ace.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair way of breaking it down, to be honest. That being said, there are a few other ways. It's not that unlikely that someone like Tyrus goes too deep in a fight, or Raph mispositions, and you can turn and blow that person up if they do. Tyrus, man, his damage early game with 3 Weapon Blades is pretty crazy right now. Kvalifar doing a lot of work in the lane as well. I think really we need to see SK definitely pushing the tempo here, though. Definitely being the teams to aggress early. The onus is on them to really be the ones trying to find early advantages. Later in this game, Blackfeather Vox, they're definitely going to get out of control. Although having the Crystal Power Samuel mitigates that necessity a little bit. I mean, Crystal Samuel does get quite strong later.
Blackfeather's in a lot of trouble. Tyrus is going to run him down. Raph is there to support him. Tyrus quite find the kill. Godfather being the god he needed, apparently, and is going to use that Vanguard to stray him to safety.
Yeah, that Vanguard came at literally the last possible second, but it does stop the side of SK from picking up that first blood. They got to be feeling good about that on the side of Supremacy. That being said, even with backup in the lane here, Kvalifar is just obliterating Waldemar with the trades. They're going to try and change that. Here comes Blackfeather.
There's the Drifting Dark as well. Whoa. We're doing a lot of damage, but Kvalifar is going to be more than okay. That heal from Raph is going to just supplement him nicely. Now, like you said there, maybe Tyrus might want to look for a play right now. That triple weapon blade already working out rather well for him. In fact, he's found Calm Boy again. That damage is ridiculous. They're going to jump straight on top of him. He might just go down. He does. First blood goes over to SK, and Waldemar almost falling to Kvalifar as well in the lane.
Honestly, Grumpjaw's early game damage is one of the most ridiculous things in Vainglory. When you pick up a couple of Weapon Blades, you just chunk stuff down so quickly. He's easily able to go in, very quickly steal away camps. That's another element of the fact that he does so much damage early game that really is relevant in this game at the very least. You can see already a pretty substantial, almost 2k gold lead by 4 minutes for the side of SK, and they've only got 1 kill. I mean, you don't find that kind of a gold lead very easily normally.
That's 1,500 gold already at 4 minutes. Tyrus has 31 CS as well. That's 21. Plus 21 over Convoy. That is absolute massive. Ready with that tension bow finished as well. I mean, he's going to hit like an absolute... If he didn't hit like a truck before, he's definitely going to hit like a freight train now. Now Supremacy. They're sitting at the bottom of the tables as well at the moment. It's 0 points, AJ. And SK sitting at 5. Kind of at the bottom of where the safety net is, but still there. Can Supremacy really come back and show the whole of Europe that they deserve to be up amongst playing against the big boys?
They do need to make a statement soon, I think. Supremacy has not had the greatest showing in the first 2 weeks. They're looking to maybe make a statement onto Lyra here. Don't quite find it yet. Tyrus is on the way up.
He's just going to watch. Oh, no! From over the wall. Finds the gobble up. And Kavalifar picks up that kill. What perfect usage of that hangry. He's going to find Waldemar as well. Oh, man, that damaged Tyrus.
Man.
Stop. He's had enough. Back off.
I can't watch this anymore. It's just dirty.
In that skin as well, it's just terrifying.
Honestly, I think I would like to see some early armor pickups on the side of Supremacy. Convoy doing that. Okay, Waldemar just picked up his. You really need it against the amount of damage coming out. I'd also like to see fairly quick war treads from Little Godfather. I think you need to be able to reposition against a Grumpjaw. Once he goes in and burns all of his dashes, it's pretty hard for him to keep the fight moving. Part of the reason why Lyra is good with him, but still, having war treads will make it a lot harder for him to continue putting the pressure on after he goes in with, for example, Hangry.
They're looking for an invade again. Luckily, though, Convoy knows better and is just going to back off rather sharpish. Although, Godfather's in the wrong place, the wrong time. Waldemar's going to jump on him, same with Tyrus, and he goes down. What a surprise, surprise. Tyrus just popping off. He's working towards that monocle as well. Double monocle on a Grumpjaw, and you can see how much damage he's already doing to the turrets. Imagine that tenfold. Waldemar's going to find himself on the wrong side of Tyrus. He's going to get swallowed up, spitting out, and killed. Another kill goes over to Kavalifar, and SK with 4-0 on the board and a 4K gold lead. It's looking pretty clean from them so far.
So quite often during a team fight, you'll hear me go, oh, like something really crazy happens, right? But when Grumpjaw goes in, normally I find myself just laughing. And the reason is because the damage is ridiculous, right? Like, it's not him making a particularly crazy play. It's just him doing too much damage for anyone to deal with, and it feels silly sometimes. So that's why my reaction is the way it is. Let's talk about what's going on in this game, though. 5,000 gold lead now. We got Tyrant's Monocle, Eve of Harvest, SK. They can just keep the pressure on here. There's very little Supremacy can do to really come back anytime soon.
Well, that's exactly what they're doing. He's finished his monocle. When he finds another, Waldemar's going to fall and give up what little he has left in terms of gold. Little Godfather falls as well. Definitely the little man in this fight. Tyrus is level 8. And Godfather was level 5.
This game might be over, Jaws. I gotta be honest with you.
I've got a feeling too, man. I mean, I'm sitting back, I'm looking at the gold, I'm thinking 6,000. You're tying it up nicely, SK, with your 6 kills as well. Second tier turret's going to fall anytime soon. SK, they've got such a lead. It's going to be so hard for Supremacy to...
I think SK, they're just saying, oh, we got to keep on schedule after that, 30-minute game that we had in Game 3 last series. We'll see, though. There are windows. Let's talk about the windows back into this from Supremacy. They do have, a Black Feather. Black Feather does really nicely in the later stages of the game. So does the Vox. Vox especially can get to a point where he can kite effectively against Tyrus. It just depends on whether or not Raph can really supplement the engage. And I love the fact, by the way, that Raph went for a very early War Treads too. I mentioned that I wanted to see it from Little Godfather, but also seeing it from Raph ahead of, for example, an early Crucible makes a lot of sense, because you want to give Tyrus as many speed boosts as you can to keep him on top of his targets. So very strong stuff there, decision-making wise. Oh, Kavalifar is a bit far up.
A little bit far up, but hey, Tyrus is going to be there to help you do the damage, mate. Khan is going to have to back off here. Little Godfather in the wrong place, wrong time. Oh my goodness. He was dead before he got spit out there. Tyrus finds himself his 5th kill of the game. He is 5-0-2. Superstar indeed. There goes the Crystal Sentry. Look at that damage. Clickety, clickety, clack. We're going to have to go back. Sentry down. Turret's going to fall soon as well. SK Gaming looking pretty hot right now.
They are looking really good on the side of SK. They're going to find another turret here, most likely. Or maybe they'll just pressure onto Waldemar instead. We'll see if Tyrus can go in. he's kind of lower health, so he's got to be careful about overextending. That is one way, of course, that any team can give up a lead, by sort of donating it over by making mistakes. Right now, though, Supremacy, they need vision in their jungle so they don't get caught out, and they need to try and find a pick onto someone like Kvalifar when he's shoving up the wave. Because Tyrus is being efficient right now, rather than pressuring necessarily in the lane. He's just staying down below hand, right? Below in the jungle, trying to farm, like strangle out all the resources that Supremacy could find. I think that's smart, but it does give a window for Supremacy, right? Like if they know Kvalifar is by himself and they engage properly, they might be able to get that kill.
They might. I think that's the biggest word in that sentence there.
Yeah, I mean, I could be more specific. I could say they probably won't, but might is what I'm going to go for.
Yeah, just give him that inkling of hope. Gold one is going to fall, though. They're going to extend their gold lead. Ever so scary now. We are looking about 9,000 at 10 minutes. Not something you usually see with a 1,000 gold increment every single minute of the game. They're heading towards that way. As the broken myth finish for Kvalifar as well. It's all looking too good for SK. Now, what can Tyrus do extra in this game? I'm not sure, but that sentry's going to go down. It went down way too quickly. The sentries were supposed to be hard to defeat as well, and Tyrus just makes short work of it. Bombing it down, and that will be it eliminated. So SK, once more, pressuring Supremacy out and have complete control of their jungle as well now.
Honestly, I think SK could probably just brute force down the base here, so long as they do the correct target focus. Tyrus is certainly thinking about it with this flank. He's trying to get in position to dash behind the turret potentially and jump on someone.
Got double monocle, you're going to one-shot whoever. Oh, goes in. Oh, he missed the hangry, but it doesn't matter. It seems it's the drifting dart from Kvalifar. Triple silence coming out for Supremacy. Gauntlet, he's going to lock up Kvalifar there. They're on the retreat now. Raph is fairly low. Tyrus going for the re-engage. Oblivion almost striking Waldemar down where he stood, but he's just going to be able to dodge out with the Sonic Zoom. And now SK focus their attention on that turret. Couple of crits from Tyrus, and that'll be more than taken care of.
Yeah, there's a lot of redundancy in the strategy that SK can start executing here, because if they pressure a turret, they can't die, mostly, right, if they go for a fight. If they go for a fight, Supremacy basically has to go back. That's arguably normally an advantage from that position. But the problem is that Grumpjaw can kill turrets so quickly that either you find kills and then you find a turret, or you find heavy damage, you force them back, and then you kill a turret whilst they're back because you kill turrets so quickly. So no matter what happens, a push works for SK right now, unless they massively overextend. So just go for pushes, right? Like just do exactly what you just did 2 more times. Game should be SK's by all rights. Supremacy, again, they need good vision, they need to find a pick. So far, they haven't had that opportunity.
They have not. And now, I mean, there are small increments and small bits of truth, or light, I should say, for Supremacy right now. Dora Blade has been finished by Waldemar, so he's got that, and he's got Poison Chip. So, you know, hitting that 2-item power spike is pretty big for him. Just the consistent team fight that he actually needs to find is going to be hard when Tyrus is one-shotting you. He's level 12, still with that 3-level lead. He's going to jump on Godfather. He's just going to get destroyed. Nom-nom-nommed up. He's going to spin him out and one-shot him. Godfather just looking like he's given to give up. Exactly what Carnboy did as well. Godfather falls. Carnboy soon to follow. Waldemar just retreating back to his base, and SK is looking to be their game. No Kraken needed. 13 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock. Waldemar, I think he's given up. I think they're looking to game 2 now, AJ. One turret falls. The next one is going to bite the dust as well. SK Gaming are going to take game number 1 in a perfect game yet again, unless Raph, you spoil it. No, he didn't go down. So SK, second perfect game of the day, and there we go. Absolute demolishment in 14 minutes.
That was pretty insane, I gotta be honest with you, Jaws. Kvalifar making a much stronger case for the lane Samuel. We'll see if he continues to do that. But moving into game number 2, gotta look at the draft. I think a lot of people look at this draft and they say, look, guys, Supremacy, you got out-drafted. There's just too much raw power